Hello, I'm Dr. Brad Holmberg. I'm going to show you how to set the arches in this case using the 3D controls. So here's the case, and I'm going to customize all the posterior movements, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Here's where the patient was at originally. Now, when you look at where the patient's at, you can see that the occlusion isn't very good, especially the molar occlusion on the right side and on the left side. It's not very good. And the reason is that her upper molars are flared a little bit. You can see even here on the side that tooth number 2 is flared out. So what we want to do is we actually want to contract the arches a little bit. You can see how wide the arches are. And all these movements we want with the posterior teeth, we want to be predictable. And the most predictable movement we can use is what's called crown tip. Okay, so how do you get around that? How do you get rid of all these complicated movements and simplify things? Well, what you do is you first of all right click and make all of the posterior teeth unmovable. Okay, so I did that on the right side. Let's do it on the left side. The teeth will bounce back to their original position. Notice that blue dot went away. Then I'm going to right click and make the teeth movable again. The teeth remain in their original position. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use what's called crown tip movement. I'm going to start with the second molar. Use this widget right here. And I'm just going to contract the arch by using crown tip. And you can see right away how that improves the interocclusal relationship. By the way, this patient has quite a bit of gum recession. When she had ortho as a youth, they must have really expanded her a lot, which probably contributes to some of the to that recession. So let's do it on the left side. Crown tip is an easy movement because the root apices are not moving at all. Just the liners are just pushing the crown's lingual and maintaining the same position with the root apices. So let's look at it from the occlusal view now. So we could, number 3 is a little bit mesial out, so now we can do a little bit of rotation. So I'm going to use distal hinge rotation. Just going to nudge number 3 out a little bit. 14 is pretty good. There's a little rotation required with the premolar tooth. And now that we've contracted the arches, you can see that this is the final position, by the way, in the ClinCheck. But I am going to use mesial hinge rotation, and I'm just going to bring that distal in a little bit, like that. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Now you can see that IPR was added there. The algorithms are just adding IPR as needed. So this looks a lot better, and I used very predictable movements. Let's look at the occlusion. So we want occlusal contacts. So I'm just going to add on the second molars a little bit of extrusion. There I've got contact. I'm just going to limit it to 0.2 millimeters. You can see that we have contact over here. Let's take a look at the first molars. Yep, just 1/10 of a millimeter of extrusion creates the contact. So here we have heavy occlusal contact. So I'm just going to add a little bit of intrusion. And then I'm going to resolve the rest of it by adjusting the level of the upper anterior teeth. Because you can see here that the cuspid tooth has over a millimeter of extrusion. And the other one has, number 6 has 0.9. So I'm going to resolve the anterior, these occlusal, high occlusion, occlusal contacts using adjusting the levels of the upper anterior teeth. Okay, so what we have here is we have a better occlusion. Let's look at the lower. Now these are the high contacts that are on the cuspid teeth. We'll adjust those. You can see that everything looks good. Her arches look good. And that's how you can set the arches. I always set the arches first. Then the next thing I do is I go and I adjust the level and check the movements of the upper anterior teeth. So that's how you set the arches and create a predictable treatment plan using the 3D controls.